Creative Katie, Karen Burchill here. Welcome to a fun and colorful art journal tutorial. The colors that I'm using here are Prussian blue, bright yellow, and bright green. And I'm using contrasting colors at the top. We'll see those later. So I'm starting in my 7x10 Canson Mixed Media journal. I love this size. It's not too big and not too small, just like Goldilocks. And I am applying the paint with a makeup sponge onto the raw page. I have not gessoed this page. There was no need for this. And I'm not concerned about getting it perfectly smooth because I know I'm going to be doing a lot of stenciling on top of this. So not much of this is going to be seen, so I'm not being overly precise. And I want to make sure that I maintain blocks of yellow and blocks of the green. And I'm mixing it wet on wet, which is one of my favorite ways of quickly getting a coat of color on the page. Adding a little bit of white gesso in there just to tone it down. Now this is Number Scramble and it is from the Crafters Workshop, and you can purchase these from the Crafters Workshop and the link is in the description box below, as well as Ninny's Napkins. She carries many of the 6-inch TCW stencils, and if she doesn't have the one you're looking for, just send her a message, and she's really great about bringing them in. So I'm stenciling this typically in 3 places. Now I love this stencil. It has kind of a geometric feel to it. And I'm stenciling using the same colors that I have in the background. Now I'm coming in with a little bit of white, again, the same stencil. And it gives kind of a very light dose of the color. I don't want it to be perfectly opaque, the white, but I am adding a little bit more. I'm coming in just to make it show up just a little bit more. So don't be afraid to replace the stencil and go over it again. Now with the stenciling, I'm not looking for perfect stenciling. Now I'm grabbing the Fantangle stencil. I love the motion this stencil creates, and it's becoming one of my fast favorites. And I'm using the turquoise paint. And I'm picking a darker color here because I want to build that contrast into the page. You see, like, it just looks like it's moving around the page. I'm edging it with that same turquoise, which is the darkest color. Now at this stage, I'm looking at this, and this background, for some reason, for me, it's reading as kind of an Aztec background. So that's kind of where my mind went when I was selecting a focal image. Now I had these geckos for a while in my stash. I've been wanting to do something with them. And I had painted this, and I had done the paint with a makeup sponge right on top of this free printable with the orange and the quinacridone magenta. And I really wasn't going to use it. And then I thought, okay, let's do some line work on here. So at first I grab my Sakura or Uniball Signo, and that just wasn't working. Mine are very old. And so I grabbed my fine line bottle. I love these things. I have a mixture of paint with water till I get the right consistency. And adding this detail just made this printable pop. Now you'll notice that the colors of the lizard are complementary colors to the background, but then I painted that triangle that same turquoise that you saw me stenciling with, so it works all together. See, I hadn't even cut out this printable yet because I wasn't really going to use it. But as I've added the line work, I started to really love it. Sometimes it's just the details that you got to add. What I like about the fine line bottle is because it's acrylic paint, it's permanent. Once it's dry, it's permanent. And it's great for filling in, it's fast, it's easy. And with a little bit of practice, you can get quite good at getting a fine line, especially for smaller segments. Now I decided I'm going to edge this in black, get rid of the white edges, and that made it really pop. It was like here I kind of got very excited about, oh, this is going to totally work. And oftentimes the shading is what does. So I'm grab my scissors and I'm going to fussy cut around these toes. My preferred way is to use an X-Acto knife, but my X-Acto knife here wasn't quite working because my blade is dull. And so I end up cutting it with the scissors off camera. Then I decided I need a little border on this. So I flipped through my stencils and grabbed this one. It is by Balzer Designs and it is called Tribal Triangles. And again, it read well with the triangles that were on the lizard and this Aztec feel that I have. And I'm just using part of it and I'm stenciling with a makeup sponge with black paint. And I'm loving, loving, loving that look. So grab your stencils and look at them because you can use them to make some really interesting standout borders to your page. You can tape off part of that if you prefer the stencil so that you don't, or you can just try to be careful. I figured if I got it where I didn't want it, I could take a baby wipe and wipe it off fairly quickly. So I'm absolutely loving that background. What do you think? It just goes so well with this lizard. Now I cut the lizard's tail and I edited it. I made it a little shorter because it wasn't quite fitting my page. Now I flipped through my sentiments. This is from my sentiment pack number 2. And the quote seemed to work. When nothing goes right, go left. Kind of funny to go with the page. But what I really liked here was the black background with the white letters. It just seemed like it was meant to be perfect for this page. And now I'm just playing with the orientation of where I want this sentiment to go, where I'm going to finally put this lizard. And you can see that I'm auditioning a lot of different possibilities. And I left that in to show you. It isn't always a straight line. Here I'm using my Sakura glaze pen, a favorite. It is permanent when dry. It's dimensional and it's glossy. And I'm just going to add a few more details on the page. You can see. And often if I'm trying a composition, then I'll stop, take a picture with my camera, then I look and I compare and to make my final decision about what I like better. So now I'm using my Liquitex Basics Fluid Matte Medium to glue down all my elements. I definitely will be doing more with lizards. I really like how he turned out. And that's just using a free printable from an adult coloring book or a kid's coloring book, right? For those of us who lack drawing skills. I'm using my angle brush and black acrylic paint using the floating acrylic technique to shade around the edges. And that's just framing the page and just bringing everything together because the finishing really does kick it up. And I'm going to continue to shade around the lizard and on the lizard. And you're going to see how that just makes everything work together. Just that little bit, you can see where I've done the shading and where I haven't, the difference. And I have to bring the black because I have that bold black border that I made with the stencil. I have to tie that in, and this is a way of introducing the black to the focal image. So I went from a focal image that I really wasn't going to use and I wasn't sure about to one that I absolutely love. It just came alive with all the finishing and all the little details. So like the sentiment says, when nothing goes right, go left. Sometimes you need to think out of the box. Sometimes you need to change it up and try something different and see where it takes you. Experiment and play. And that's the joy of an art journal because you just have fun and you learn along the way. But if you don't try something new, you don't learn something new. I have butterflies on my desk, and somehow I thought maybe I'm going to attach one here. Now I decided that I wanted to add some more line work to the stenciling, and so I'm just putting these lines on the stenciling here. I prefer using this to using the Uniball Signo or any pen. I just can go faster. And as you can see, I'm holding my bottle one way and doing this the same angle. So I'm not switching it up. And then I come back, I turn the page and I turn my hand and I come back and I do the other side. And that was really easy and it's very easy on my hands. Using my Sakura Glaze pen, I'm just adding a little black detailing and because it's glossy and dimensional, it's just adding a little extra something. And then I go and I'm outlining the entire lizard with that very loosely, not precise at all. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you check out other videos that I have. Share my channel with your creative friends. Also, go to Instagram and follow me at Creative Katie. Leave me a comment.